The Palin media storm is heating up even more today. Her book sales jumped immediately to the top of the charts. Her interviews have become fodder for airwaves. And if one thing is clear, Sarah is here to stay. Take a listen.
There are a lot of decisions being made that I and probably the majority of Americans are not impressed with right now. I think our economy is not being put on the right track, and I question, too, some of the dithering and hesitation with some of our national security questions that have got to be answered for our country.
By the way, she's going to be on O'Reilly later in the week. So is Palin speaking for the American people? Does she have a future on the national stage? Will she run in 2012? Back to discuss her Fox News contributor, Monica Crowley, and from L.A., nationally syndicated radio talk show host, Leslie Marshall. Good to see you both. What do you think, Monica? I mean, she is a source of derision of some kind in the Republican Party. I mean, certainly among the McCain camp.
Well, yes, and what she's trying to do now in this first wave of reintroducing herself to the American public is try to clean up the perception of her that I think a lot of people in the McCain campaign, but a lot of people in the left-wing media really tarnished her. I mean, they really spent a lot of time trashing her. So the first wave of things that she needs to do is clean up that perception in order to rehabilitate her image, and then she can move on to talk about more substantive issues.
Leslie, cleaning up damage that's already been done is a very tricky thing, because you can look like a whiner, you can look like the same kind of finger pointers that the people who went after her. I mean, it's not easy to clean up that mess, is it?
No, it's not easy, especially when you're looking at a national stage when you couldn't even fulfill your obligations on a state level and walked away from that. You know, where is the trust from your constituency? And in addition to that, in her book, which I consider it should be called the pre-campaign manifesto, in her book, she consistently has incorrect information, and one of the problems on both the left and the right was not her presence, but when she would open her mouth and not have the facts, and she is not cleaning that part of this act up.
By the way, Leslie, give us an example of that. What is some fact that you say is not true?
Well, when she talks about Obama signing the bailout measure and the bailout being wrong, one, John McCain, who she was on the ticket with, voted for it, and two, George Bush signed that into law. That would be one example.
All right.
Well, with Sarah Palin, and I wasn't privy to their internal discussions, but Sarah Palin has since come out to say that she opposed the TARP bailout early on. That could have been a source of great friction.
Actually, a lot of people in the McCain camp did. Doug Holtz-Eakin, one of his economic advisors, and said it was one of the biggest mistakes he made.
Advised McCain not to do it. Yeah. Look,
but she attributed it to Obama, and it wasn't Obama who signed it into law. It was Bush, and certainly John McCain did vote for that.
Look, Sarah Palin, I think, is politically, she is fabulous. She really connects with the average person. She is plain-spoken. She's very honest. She does have some work to do in terms of rehabilitating the
What about the
image,
governor issue, the fact that she walked away from Alaska while still a governor?
I mean, I actually think that does hurt her. And the reason it's hurting her, I think, is because she hasn't put forward an adequate explanation for why she left those responsibilities. If, for example, she came out and said, and I know what her explanation now is, look, I was becoming a distraction. There were all these lawsuits being filed.
How does she clean that up?
I don't think that washes right now. And I'm not sure she can clean that up. I think over time she might be able to, based on what she does with herself over the next 2 years.
Now, Leslie, I got to ask you to try to be as neutral as you possibly can when you're answering this. But are you surprised? I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of naysayers about Sarah Palin, from you to David Letterman. You go on and on. The list is long. But are you surprised that her staying power is as strong as it is?
No, I'm not surprised it's as strong as it is. I mean, nowadays it seems in politics, oh, if you got a pretty face or, if you've got a name, it's like, a celebrity circus, like a popularity contest.
Wait a minute, that's a sexist comment, Leslie. Leslie, that is a sexist comment.
If she's got a pretty face,
hold on a second, Leslie, look at just what she did.
Did you not have a congressman just say today that a beauty queen should run because she gets a lot of crowd?
Hold on a second, and far be it from me to accuse somebody else of sexism, but the fact is, she is a woman who cleaned up a very corrupt political machine in her own party that had been existent in Alaska for over 2 decades. She cleaned that up even though she was threatened. They play politics for keeps with rifles in Alaska, and she went after him, wouldn't give up, and she corrected that damage that had been done by that machine.
I think it depends who you speak to in Alaska, and I think who you speak to within the Republican Party, because although she has done some good in her state and some good for the party, she's also done some damage for the party. I don't see McCain and Palin in the White House right now. I see Obama and Biden in the White House. So it's not a sexist remark. What I'm saying is she has an appeal and is quite different than other Republican candidates.
She is more, Monica, hold on a second. She
right now she has more celebrity than she does
anybody
experience.
who can run for a governor of the state, whatever state it is in the union, and win, particularly when they are running in a primary against a corrupt political machine that's been in power for 25 years, has got something more than a pretty face.
Look, I find what the left argues here on Sarah Palin absolutely outrageous. They're doing it to try to diminish her. She was chief executive of a city. She was chief executive of her state. This woman has more executive experience than Barack Obama has ever had. He came out of the legislature. He never ran anything. Sarah Palin has run successfully the state of Alaska, which is one of the biggest energy-producing states in this country. She did a phenomenal job there, and the reason why some of the Republicans were annoyed with her there is because she went after them too. And I'll tell you, when you look at the polls on the deficit, on spending, on health care, right now Sarah Palin is where most of the American people are.
Quick answer for both of you. Leslie, is she running in 2012?
I think yes. I think this is a pre-campaign manifesto, and I think she likes the celebrity. She likes the fame. When she says she doesn't like the ambition, she certainly likes the exposure and the money. I think, yeah, I think she has an opportunity, and I think she sees it, and she's going to take it. And I, being a liberal Democratic talk show host, I want her to run because it's so much great material for my program.
Monica, go ahead.
You know, I find it amazing when people say, oh, she's inexperienced, she has no background on any of this stuff. Well, Barack Obama had zero background, and the left backed him completely. She's got all of this executive experience. I do think she is going to run for president in 2012. She's got to strike while the iron is hot. She does have to spend the next 2 years, though, really boning up on a lot of national security issues.
Monica Crowley, Leslie Marshall, thank you, ladies. Good to see you both. Coming up on deck, forget about rationing health care later. Are we justifying rationing right now? A spirited debate over this new government move on mammograms that we've heard a lot about. And we want to know what you think about Sarah Palin, her run for the presidency in 2012. Is that a buy? Is that a sell? Or is that a hold? 369-249. Your answer's coming right up.